Hey, good evening. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is Lefty. Doc is out of the office tonight on a house call in Sturgis, enjoying himself immensely, I hope. We're here with friend of the show, Fader Strohmeyer, who is along for the ride to give some perspective on the Planned Parenthood controversy and all things womanly related. Maybe not all things, but most things, because we only have an hour. So, Fader, as I set that up, did I miss anything? Is there anything that you think that our audience will want clarified or maybe put into a different kind of context?
I think that's a pretty good overview of what's been going on. My understanding so far is that there have been, as of today, I believe, 5 different videos that were released by this group, the Center for Medical Progress. I'm with you on the nomenclature. That I feel like that's probably not what they're really about, but of all the things I'm going to fight with them about, their name is going to be pretty far down on the list.
Fair enough.
So 5 videos so far, very heavily edited in kind of this sting operation idea. They're filming these people out at restaurants, trying to pose as people who are attempting to get tissue for research. My understanding from the reading that I've done is a couple of things, actually. One, that is totally legal. Human tissue can be donated for research. You cannot sell it. You cannot sell human organs for profit, but it can be donated, and it is also legal to ask for a certain amount of money to recoup the costs of storage, transportation. Tissue isn't very much good if you put it in a Ziploc baggie and leave it in the front seat of your car for 2 days, unless that's what you're trying to research.
The effects of a sun-baked car on a
and I think the Body Farm already knows quite a bit about that, so there's probably not a whole lot else you're going to uncover.
Right.
So,
well, and and I just as I sort of made a wisecrack there, that kind of reminds me of really what a lot of the initial outrage was about, and a lot of this is sort of indefensible, in my opinion. I've watched a couple of the videos a couple of times, and what it sounds like to me. I mean, obviously the right's going to be outraged over anything that has to do with abortion, regardless. I mean, that's their territory. They've staked that out. But this, the language used, the attitude conveyed, or at least purported to be conveyed. Yeah. This sort of callous kind of rough talk about the treatment of what I described in the first segment as the remains of murdered children.
Yes.
To put it in the language of the anti-choice folks. It's a little shocking. It's a little bit uncomfortable to listen to some of these officials talk to these people. Now they're being sort of coaxed into it, but it is a little. It's a little bit like. It was pretty graphic, and it was pretty unsettling. I mean, is that something that Planned Parenthood should have apologized? I mean, or does it matter? Does it really matter?
I don't really think so. That is a job that I cannot really imagine doing myself. Now, part of that's because I don't have a terribly strong stomach, especially for blood and stuff like that. So probably not real great for me to be in any kind of hospital clinic type setting where you're dealing with human anything. But I understand the need to depersonalize that conversation. If you start talking about, this is, Sarah's dead body or whatever, even as an adult, research cadaver, legally donated, all that. If you start talking about that, this, we're going to do this to Sarah or whatever. No, you can't do that, because then it automatically gives you a different reaction, and probably not one that's really going to be healthy for you to have if you're in that line of work. So I get the nature of the language that the Planned Parenthood officials are using. There is something out now, and I wish I had read this a little bit more closely, but something was made reference to just a bunch of line items that the Planned Parenthood official, I believe from Gulf Coast, was talking about. That these are just a bunch of line items. And is that kind of callous? Yeah, it probably is. But on the other hand, how would you talk about it if it was your job to talk about the legal procurement of human tissue for research purposes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm kind of struggling with the human tissue phrase, and that's a pretty. Hopefully, everybody can agree that that's an acceptable term. Certainly less emotionally charged than murdered children.
Right. Well, I find it interesting that we don't mind talking about harvesting organs for donation. I mean, that sounds a little bit rough, doesn't it?
Well, I find that a little creepy. But
yeah, but that's how that's accepted. That's how doctors talk about it.
Harvesting organs is that?
When you're in a especially if you're like in a transplant chain, or someone is tragically killed and they're an organ donor. You harvest those organs for donation. I mean, that sounds a little bit tough as well. But I can speak from personal now, not from medical experience, but I have been in conversations with other lawyers and other colleagues of mine where we speak in an informal, sort of callous way about sentencing of our clients, or making jokes about the behaviors of some of our clients and some of the crimes they're accused of committing. That anybody with a undercover camera who had maybe some agenda to uncover lawyers as being jerks. Pro tip: it's been well established.
I was going to say, do we need that?
Right? Yeah, we don't. You would uncover a lot of shocking things said about people's own clients. And I've got to tell you, from my experience, that it's absolutely kind of going off your point. If you're not compartmentalizing, you will go crazy.
Yeah.
If you care in a intensely personal way about the thing that you're doing as your job, that is sensitive and that is tough to deal with just by its very nature. And dealing with human remains is always tough no matter what stage of the process you're in, whether you're an ER doc or the person at the mortuary.
Sure.
You have to be able to compartmentalize. You have to laugh so you don't cry. You have to whistle past the graveyard, or else you will go absolutely crazy. You won't be able to do that line of work anymore.
Yeah.
And this line of work is intensely important. Research from this sort of material has been used to make great strides in understanding the effects of Parkinson's on the body. It hasn't gotten a cure yet, but stem cells have been, especially stem cells and some of this fetal tissue have made great strides in correcting some genetic diseases that it's an important line of work that is completely legal to perform but also isn't federally funded. And we'll get to that here in a second, because the natural reaction to this, folks, is that, of course, a bill is introduced to immediately defund Planned Parenthood. And after this break, we're going to talk about why that is a nonsense idea, given these supposed revelations on this big controversy, because of all of the abortions that Planned Parenthood trucks itself in, and all the federal money that Planned Parenthood gets from the government to perform these abortions, which, as I hope that you have understood from my tone and my very sarcastic mannerisms, is zero. So please check out our sponsors. We like to make sure that they get a lot of love throughout the show. Bertocian Associates, Levinas Law Firm, Des Moines Anesthesia, Halo Capital, and we will be right back with friend of the show, Fader Strohmeyer. Please stick around. We've got more to come.